Hi everyone, this is Chrishanne and I have with me another guest to talk about another very important and interesting topic. I have with me Encik Zairul. He's got quite a long name, but for short, I will call him Zairul. So welcome
Yeah.
to the Chrishanne the Wordsmith show. I hope all of you are keeping well. And his long name is actually Muhamad Zairulnizam Baharom. But to make things simple for you and me and our listeners and viewers, we will call him Zairul. That's fine, right, Zairul?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just give a little bit of an introduction about Zairul and then we'll get started on our conversation about the topic. So Zairul is a certified master hypnotherapist who's been recognized in the area of team effectiveness, learning game design, and mental training in sports. He has been featured as a successful person in Malaysia 2020 by the Britishpedia in their Volume 2 and a certified virtual presenter e-speaker. He is also the co-founder of an award-winning company called Accordia Training and Development, which develops, commercializes, and trademarks many learning games and simulations such as Temple of Doom, Eastern Trading Company, and Grazeville Farm, to name a few. Zairul has facilitated and delivered keynote addresses to corporate, government, and other institutions. He has been in this industry since 2001 and until this day is continuously designing and creating new games and stimulations. So Zairul, thank you very much for accepting my kind offer to be my guest today. I hope things are going well for you.
Yes, things are going good. It's interesting how you mentioned about my name being long. Actually, you are not the first one. I remember when I did my studies in New Zealand, and when they're looking for doing the attendance, and when the lecturer is stuck at one name, and I'll be like, okay, that's me. Yeah, which one do I mention? Yeah.
Somehow you
So
had
yeah.
the sixth sense that is probably the lecturer is stuck at trying to pronounce and figure out which is your first name.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that's usually the case. So that's very much common nowadays.
Okay. In fact, some people say that my name is long and my name is only like 2 syllables. It's Chrishanne, right? And they say it's
Yeah.
long. Is there a nickname? Is there a short form? And I'm like, I rather not you shorten my name if possible. Unless you have tried and you're struggling to pronounce it, then okay, I can give you an exception. I can give you a chance lah. Because I love my name. It's a very unique, lovely name. So I understand the challenges. Some people perceive some names as long. So yours,
Yeah.
you have more than one. You have a first name, you have a middle name, but I suppose Malay names are like this, right? You have more than
Yeah.
one name.
Well, traditionally it has been, but I think now with generations to come, and I think my kids' generation, all their names are short. We want to make sure that it fits the IC. If not,
And then you can
they're
fill
not
out the
able to.
forms for the passport and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, like my elder sister, she's got because she's the eldest, right? She's got the first name, and a middle name and another name because both grandmothers' names are
Oh, I see.
incorporated into her name as well. Okay, then my parents got a bit smarter. My second sibling before me just has a middle name. And from me onwards, it's one single name.
It's interesting how names also can affect one's mental health.
Oh, yes, true. Because
Yeah.
sometimes the root name or the root source or the actual meaning of that name in different languages and different cultures, as you said,
Yeah,
perhaps yes, it could affect
you're right.
the mental
Yeah.
health of
Especially when
someone.
you're mentioning about writing form. So I have a friend who's Egyptian, and
Mhm.
they have a culture of having their grandparents or grandfather and late grandfather and
Wow.
great grandfather, all of those names collected
Uh-huh.
and put into their name. So they literally have like 2 lines in their passport. So
Wow.
so when they write, they always have this issue when they go to the airport. Because, like you said, writing the form. So everybody's in a hurry when you're writing a form. So
Yes.
he didn't put the whole entire name. So he
Uh-huh.
just put the name.
Okay.
Now, when he does that, when they come to reach the custom area, he gets stopped
Oh no.
and said, "This is not." He said, "Yes, it's me. It's just I just write part of my name, not the whole name."
Okay.
So he gets interrogated, and took a little bit of time. So that's always a stressful moment for him every time he's at the airport.
Oh, okay. And I wonder whether because you see certain standard forms like they only have like I think what 20, 22, 25 character boxes or something. So if your
Yeah,
name
I think
is really long and in between you have to leave spaces, right? Then is extremely challenging lah.
correct. You have to figure out where else do I put it? Do I put it at the back?
Yeah. Okay. So aside from the introduction I gave about you, I
Mhm.
believe there's many other things you have done, right? Zairul, we were talking the other day. You studied in New Zealand. Could you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about yourself, your upbringing, your educational background, and what you've been doing? And then we will talk about the a mental health topic and the pandemic and other related things.
Okay. Well, I am, I would say, fortunate enough that my late father was a diplomat. So I had, or my sister and I got the luxury to experience living in different countries. So we,
Wow.
of course, there's pro and con. We don't have any
Yes.
childhood friends. Uh, so we started moving, or at least I started moving from the age of 2.
Okay.
So our first posting was in Philippines.
So your sister
Then
is your older sibling, is it?
my younger sibling, so
Oh, your
she's
younger
about
sibling.
2 years younger than me. Yes, so I'm the eldest in the family. So there's only 2 of us. So we went to Philippines first, and then we were posted in China. We were also posted in Canada. That was the longest that we have stayed, which was 5.5 years.
Okay.
Bangkok, and as well as in Washington, DC in US.
Ah, so you
And then I
spent time
continued
in
my
the
studies.
US and Canada. Cool.
Yes, yes. When my parents was in the US, I was in New Zealand.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so yes. So that I did my university in New Zealand.
Yeah, you studied sociology and psychology, correct?
Yes, yes. So I
Was
did
there
social
a
science.
specific reason why you chose to study both?
Ah, well, at first, I initially wanted just to focus on psychology.
Uh-huh.
And I think after the first year, our dean or the dean started to approach me and said, a lot of what you're doing are also crossed with sociology. So why don't you do a double major?
Okay.
So when he said that, I said, well, why not? All the papers are similar anyway, and
Yes.
it's quite interesting. Yes,
Okay.
and I like psychology is very precise. You really need to remember a lot of theories and a lot of dates and a lot of old people. And even the format for you to write the essay is very specific. You have to
Okay.
use the APT format. Yeah.
Yes.
But sociology is a completely different realm.
Yes.
You can really express what you want to say as long as you can find support.
Yes. Yeah, you can back
Some
it up with references and articles and all that.
right. Yes, and the best part I remember about sociology was it was heavy on assignments. So
Oh
in
boy.
one semester we only had to submit 3 assignments, and the major assignment was worth 60%.
Oh no!
But there's no exam. That's the best part.
Oh, no
also.
exam!
So,
Wow! So it's a very different way in which they are evaluating the students.
yes. And the other best part is if the lecturer find that you have a case, what you're trying to say is there.
Yes.
Maybe it's not complete. They will give you back the assignment, and then they say we'll give you 1 more week, so to ensure that you get better grades.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, I like that a lot. So, but not everybody gets the opportunity. I think I got the opportunity only about twice, where they said you still haven't got the spot yet. You're not on the dot yet. Go and revise, your assignment. It's okay. So I kind of appreciated that.
How did you end up, or why did you choose to go to the university you chose in New Zealand, Zairul?
Okay. Well, basically, why at that time New Zealand was an option was because it was almost by accident.
Oh, yeah, because not many Malaysians I know at that time went to New Zealand, but in recent years, a lot of Malaysians are going to Australia and New Zealand.
Yes. At that time, the currency rate was also 1.7, so it was economical to go to New Zealand.
Okay.
And why I say it was by accident, it was more on an opportunity that fell on my lap. Because New Zealand had an education fair.
Okay.
And so I graduated from high school. And then
where did you do your high school, Zairul?
I completed my high school here in International School, Kuala Lumpur, in ISKL, because we came back from Canada at that time. Okay. So I went to the education fair with my credentials, with my report cards and whatnot, and I went to one university in New Zealand. They said, okay, because you graduated under an American system, so you needed SAT, in which I did not have. So, and then I went to another university.
You mean an SAT is needed for undergraduate program?
Yes, to go to some universities in New Zealand, not all. So, and then I went to the next university and I said, well, this is all the stuff that I have. I don't have an SAT. And then they look at my transcript and then they say, okay, well, we'll pick you up at the airport.
Wow, that must have been quite mind-boggling, and at the same time a pleasant surprise for you.
It definitely was, because I wasn't sure if they were joking.
Did they say it with a straight face, or were they was the smile looking a little bit suspicious?
They were smiling, but I was a little bit confused because all my friends say, okay, I have to apply and I have to wait. So when they said everything is good, I'll pick you up at the airport. So I wanted to wait for the official letter for me to really know that it is confirmed. But
yeah, because you also need time to digest and process this very sudden but very exciting news.
Yes. So when I went back home and I told my parents, they said, are you sure it can't be so fast, right?
Yeah, because it's something out of the ordinary.
Yeah. So I think they were really serious when they had the open concept. And if you bring your transcript and everything is prepared, everything goes good, they don't need to wait. They can just tell you on the spot. Probably,
Zairul, you were very fortunate. Whoever was there, who was doing the screening, right, was quite impressed and happy with your results. So they decided, okay, let's give a surprise, make it an exciting and memorable day for Zairul.
I still remember until today.
Yes. Okay. So that's so your degree in your double major in sociology and psychology.
Yes.
Was it 3 years or was it longer? Because you had a double major, you added on.
3.5 years. Yeah, so since I added only after 1 year,
Uh-huh.
so it's okay lah. I only had to add another half a year to make sure that I get a double major.
Okay, so I don't know very much about the Australian sorry, New Zealand education system.
Mhm.
I studied, mine is an American degree. I did a credit
Okay.
transfer, American degree program with Rima College here, and then I transferred the credits to Hawaii Pacific University. So I spent 3 years in Hawaii,
Mm.
and that was a very memorable. To this day, I still remember it, and I love it so much because it's a totally, it's like a lifetime and a totally different experience of its own. Yeah,
Okay.
Malaysia, we are known to be hospitable, but there you truly feel the aloha spirit because the people are so friendly, so kind. It's a beautiful and lovely place to live, work, and study. Okay, and
Mm.
even though I was only there for 3 years, it felt like double or more than that. Because it's a totally different, very exciting, very fun, very. I enjoyed the challenge because I didn't really enjoy our Malaysian education system, but I
Okay.
survived because I have photographic memory and I can memorize Zairul. So for
Oh,
the
nice.
subjects such as, subjects such as history, geography, science, what else? English, of course, is my first language, so there's no, that one is a piece of cake for me. Those kinds of subjects, I study smart. I don't study hard. So I listen to the
Okay.
teacher. I take notes. The highlighter is my best friend. I highlight the
Mm.
important points in the textbook. Okay, and I cram on the day of the exam. Okay,
Oh,
because that's what I mean. I study smart. I don't study hard. I am not criticizing any other people who study the whole year round, every day or every early morning or late at night, whichever is their most peak time for them to study. They have their routine, right? For
yeah,
me,
yeah.
my style, and I realized that it's better to cram on the day of the exam. So I will be like crazily 20, 30 times I'll be reading my notes in in my exercise book and the textbook and all that. So absorb like a sponge. Then come the time of the exam, I have to be very, very alert and careful because it dissipates so very quickly. So I had to write certain keywords so that it triggers the memory, and the points come back to me. Okay, so that's how I survive Malaysian education system. Okay, which is
It's
based on a
interesting.
British education system. Yes, you were saying,
Mm.
Zairul.
It's interesting. You mentioned your studying method. Um, and of course, and you're right, there are people with many different styles and variety. There's the one that burns the midnight oil. There's the one that study like 1 month prior to the exam, and
Yes.
1 week. And when my study days, I my surroundings have these variation. I remember going to the library, but we did not do any studying at all.
Oh
you know,
boy.
like,
So then what was going on? This is a catch-up session, chill out
it becomes
session.
hey, I haven't seen you for a long time, and then chit chat. So obvious, like so. But my style is I'm a little bit like that, but I start a little bit earlier. I give myself a week before an exam
So
rather
you
than the day
cram
before.
a week ahead.
I cram a week ahead. I also have friends who do not study at all.
Okay.
Like our exam is tomorrow, and he's
Yes.
like, hey, jump, let's go for a drink. What are you doing? Don't you have exams tomorrow? He's like, yeah. Okay. So these are guys, but they do extremely well. And I think they have the photographic memory
Okay,
just
so
like
you
you.
just answered the question I was about to ask you. How well did they do, or were they very confident
It's
about
amazing.
the exam?
It's amazing. They are so relaxed, so calm. It's like it's nothing. There's no exam.
It's like a routine for them lah. It's not a big,
Yeah.
it's not a life-changing, serious. Oh no, I must do very well. Everything must be perfect. All that.
Yeah. But what is so important about that is they have created a style that they're comfortable with, and they also bring the same habit to their working environment. I have colleagues who have a major, currently I have that they have like a major presentation tomorrow.
Yes.
But then they got the news, that they need to prepare for the presentation 1 month before. So they have 1 month to prepare, but they
Yes.
don't take that 1 month to prepare. They will prepare 1 day before.
Oh, so they seem to thrive under pressure.
Yes, but you see, that is really the value, because they have developed a skill. It's a skill that if they prepare 1 month before, the presentation will not be as amazing as preparing it 1 day before. And I think
I
this is.
suppose they are playing through their strengths, Zairul. It is
You're
not
right.
just a random thing. They know their talents, they know their strengths, they know their weakness. They know when they are at their peak or when they're at their best.
That's right. And I think that has a very strong contribution to a healthy mental health or an unhealthy mental health.
Okay.
Because this is a skill that you have created during your study time.
Yes.
Throughout the years, it may change.
Yes.
Due to what kind of industry that you go into. Some industry, if you go into law,
yes,
you will not have time to prepare 1 day before.
There's
I
just
don't
too
think
much
so.
of the paperwork and too much of research
Correct.
to be done. Yes.
Yes. So the preparation has to be way, you have to give it a lot more time in advance as compared to 1 day before.
Yes.
So it always depends, but it is a skill for them to adapt to certain situation. And it's amazing. They will come up with flying colors with that kind of pressure that they provide themselves. So why I link that kind of example to mental health is the amount of pressure.
Okay.
And I believe when you have that practice in terms of pressure from studying days, it is a skill that you have adapted to even now working environment, not just work, also family. Like you wait till last minute, but you are able, as long as you are able to really focus in delivering what you're supposed to deliver,
Okay.
then you're not breaking any form of mental norm that you already have.
Okay.
There's pro and con to it. Something that you used
Can
to
you
do.
explain what do you mean by mental norms, Zairul? Because I don't think many
Okay,
people would understand this concept.
mental norm, I would say habits that they are used to. Things
Okay.
that, for example, if you said that your friends know whenever you are feeling stressed out, that your friends knows when something's not right. So
Yes,
these are
because
certain patterns.
because the number of messages and the tone of my messages change. So
Correct.
if it's a good day, it's maybe 1 or 2 messages. Okay.
Mhm.
In a short succession, in a short period of time. But if it's a not so good day, there's going to be about double the amount of messages in that same period of time.
Yes. So that's exactly it. So your messages is that mental norm. Those are your habits, those are your pattern and your practices.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I say there is pro and con to it,
Yes.
is when a mental norm is overused. That means
Okay.
your practice. Every time you feel stressed, every time you feel pressure, you behave the same way, or your techniques are the same.
Okay.
It tends to become overused, where your mindset would not work anymore. Your mind would not accept it as, oh, you are coping with certain pressure, certain stress. Your mind will say, well, this is a certain practice, this is a normal behavior. So the mind would not begin to start coping with certain stress.
Okay.
So that is the con.
I
The
suppose
pro
you hit a certain threshold, is it? Where it's like
yeah,
almost like a dead end or something like that.
correct. Yeah, so that means that strategy doesn't work anymore, right? So that is the con when you have certain rituals that you do.
Okay.
But the pro is,
Mm-hmm.
the pro to that, it forces you to look for other strategies or other solutions. And that's really the value, because sometimes the word stress
Yes.
or mental pressure, if you want to call it,
Okay.
it has a bad reputation,
Yes,
mainly
the
because,
very common connotation is negative.
correct. But what if we change the meaning of it? What if we translate to "this is not so good for me" to maybe it could be something good for me, or maybe it could open up opportunities for me, or maybe it could be, hey, what if this is also a resource to me? Right?
Okay.
If I can give you something very simple.
Yeah, because
Um,
people say that a certain amount of stress and pressure is healthy, right? Because it gets you going, it motivates you.
yes, but only if you look at it that way. Okay, so
Okay.
let's go through an example. Let's go
Sure.
through a simulation. A simulation
Okay.
especially now, right? If you leave the house, if you leave the office at about 5 or 6 p.m.,
Yes.
right? And the distance that you're supposed to go is about 30 kilometers, so it's quite a distance.
Yes.
High potential, high possibility that you will be stuck in a traffic jam. That this road, usually does not have any jam. This
Yes.
road is usually very smooth, but today or this entire month, this road is not moving. It's amazing, right?
Yes.
So you need to think about what are you translating this to be, and what are your emotional response. So in one case, you could be like, oh, this is so frustrating because this road is usually smooth. I'm late for my appointment.
I'm tired. I need my me time. I need my downtime. But unfortunately, this massive traffic jam is getting in the way of it.
Yes, correct. You're right. so, so you need to look really focus on your energy at that time. Energy, is it going towards the negative explanation or definition of what you're feeling, or is there a positive to it? So a lot of people, when I talk to them about what is so positive about traffic jam.
Well, you can listen to some audiobook or you can listen to music or I
Okay.
don't know, you can do some people watching.
I think that's
But then if
that's
you're not
the
careful
best.
about the people watching, then you get some dirty looks and some people may get
Yeah.
irritated and give you some hand gestures or something.
Yeah, they will give you the driving finger.
Yeah.
Yes. So actually, listening to music, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube, because you're stuck, you're not really watching while you're moving. Um, it will help up to a certain point, but it doesn't change the definition. It will assist you, but it doesn't change the definition.
Or
So if,
another option, Zairul, of course, using
yeah,
hands-free is you actually call a friend
yeah.
and use this time to catch up session. So you can talk about your day. You can release whatever pressures and stress or whatever's on your mind. And then the same,
Yeah,
same the other person also can do lah. But then you have to see whether whoever you want to talk to is available to talk to you at that time lah.
true, true. That's a good way. I remember many years ago, this is before my best friend passed away. And if I'm driving and I'm feeling so sleepy,
Uh-huh.
and I call him, and I call him, we'll chit chat, and he said, "You're calling me because you're feeling sleepy while you're driving, right?" Yes. Please talk to me. He's like, yeah, 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 let's talk. So I used to do that a lot. Good, but that is also, I would say, a strategy, but it does not translate to a different definition.
Okay.
Now, if you look into a traffic jam, remember, stress or mental pressure is the meaning that we give it.
Yes.
So if traffic jam, your meaning is, oh, this is horrible, I'm going to be late, blah, blah, blah. if we change that kind of meaning to, hey, you know what if the meaning goes to traffic jam means people are out moving about, they're shopping, they're spending money is going around. That means economy is doing well, our economy is picking up, everybody's out. That means we're slowly running away or controlling this pandemic and we're moving towards endemic. So
Yes.
this is what I mean by finding a positive definition to what you're feeling at that time. Now, having said that, there's also different circumstances. If, for example, there's a death in the family,
Yes.
yes, at a certain point that you could say, okay, maybe this person, the positive part of this is the person
The
is not
person
suffering
is no
anymore.
longer suffering. Yes. And they lived a
Yes,
good
right.
life.
Exactly, right? They're going to a better place, So this is the feeling is still there,
Mhm.
but you are giving it a different definition. That's all.
You're
So
changing
the
the
moment
narrative.
you're exactly right. You're changing the narrative behind that. So it's always begin from how you define it, the
But
narrative
this
that you want
takes
to
time,
portray.
right, Zairul? It is not something that you can do in a short period of time. There are steps to this. It takes some time.
Oh, of course. It is just like any other skill. It's just like when I run my hypnosis session. And usually, depending on the case, my
Yes.
hypnosis sessions are only 4 sessions. And
Okay.
why only 4? Because this 4 session is just for me to teach you a skill, and this
Ah.
skill that you do on your own. So when you do on your own, it
Uh-huh.
has 2 ways. One
Okay.
is if you keep on using it, that means this skill you become better and better. That
Yes.
means you are able to focus and you're able to visualize strongly when you already have the skill on your own.
Okay.
Or the other way is you do not do it at all and you say, you know what, it doesn't work. It didn't work. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. So that's exactly it. It's a skill and it requires you to practice rather than you just, they call it lepas tangan and just let it go, right?
Yeah,
You
like
the situation.
languages I noticed, like the 3 years I was in Hawaii, most of my Malaysian friends were speaking English. So even though I wanted to still keep the fluency of Bahasa, my fluency
Mhm.
of Bahasa deteriorated because I didn't get to use it. So I was very fluent in spoken and written Bahasa before I went to Hawaii to do the second half of my degree. So the 3 years I was there, I didn't really get much of a chance to speak Bahasa. So when I came
Mhm.
back, uh, fortunately, most of the positions I was working in didn't require me to use my Bahasa. So I don't know
Right.
whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Okay. But later, you come across colleagues who are not very fluent in English, and then you have to use another language like Bahasa, or sometimes the cleaners that are working in your working place are from Indonesia or elsewhere, so they're using Bahasa, and that is where the challenge is for me lah, to pull out the what little I remember about my fluency of spoken Bahasa from long-term memory into short-term memory so I can use it. But then what I do is, I tell people, I haven't used my Bahasa for a long time. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. And most of them do, because I smile and I tell them it's okay. Tell me if I've used the wrong word. And sometimes in
Mm.
the course of talking to them, the gears, the wheels are turning, right? Then
Yes.
as I'm talking, I realize, oh, okay, sorry, this is the actual word. It just came to me. So with any skill,
Okay.
if you don't use it, your level of competency and ease in which you can do it is very greatly affected.
Yes. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yes. I mean, that's why it's called a skill. It is that. But you see, like riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to ride a bicycle, that muscle memory is still there. Although, like for example, I'll give you a great example. My mom,
Okay.
my mother, I if I can recall correctly, the last time she actually rode a bicycle, oh my, I would say a good solid 35 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
35 years was the last time she rode a bicycle that I can
Okay.
recall. And after my dad passed away, my dad passed away 2 years ago, and we wanted to, create some activity, make sure my mom gets a little bit busy. So we
Yes.
had this idea of, hey, let's go to this closest park,
Okay.
and all of us brought our bicycle,
Okay.
and they can also rent bicycles there.
Uh-huh.
So we were a little bit skeptical. We were a little bit worried if my mom could still remember how to ride. So after 35 years, it's amazing. After 35 years, it seemed like she never forgotten. She was so natural. She just hopped on it and she just started pedaling. It's as if there was no gap in between her last
So the
experience.
35 years just went poof in a blink of an eye.
Exactly. It just she doubted herself at first. She's like, I can't. I'm not sure if I could, but she just went on it and she just started pedaling, and it came back.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So a skill will always be there, but just like what you were experiencing, it may take a little bit of time.
It'll take a bit of time to build the confidence and
Correct.
to feel comfortable with doing something that you've not done in a long time. Like
Yes.
for me, the example, and I on the one hand, I am excited and I'm dreading, but I don't know when this is going to happen. But it's been May 2019 was the last time I drove a car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I still have a valid driving license, but I haven't driven at all. So you're talking about the analogy of riding a bicycle. In my mind, the most relevant one is driving a car.
Driving.
Driving a car in Malaysia, driving a car in the US, where I learned, is a totally different scenario altogether.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate that I learned to drive in the US, and it was automatic. Because Zairul, I'm not technically inclined. So if I learned in Malaysia, I don't know how many times it would have taken me to actually pass the road test. Because you've got, with driving manual is very technical. You've got to change gears every so often. Then you've got to deal with the clutch. You've got to deal with the brake. You've got to deal with the accelerator. But with automatic, is very simple. Park, reverse, neutral, drive. First gear, then the second lower gear. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's only a simple thing, like you just balance between the accelerator, the handbrake, and the brake, handbrake, and accelerator. But with manual, it's very complicated. And still, Zairul, even though I had a very good and patient teacher, it looks like third time's a charm. It's the third time that I actually passed the driving test.
That's good. You know the saying is, people who fail their driving test end up to be better drivers.
Oh, really? Because we've just had more time to improve and to develop the skill.
Yes, correct. And you take it a lot more seriously. You become a little bit more focused in what you're doing. You check your rearview mirror more often. You check your side mirrors more often.
And then you make sure your hand is one hand is at 10, one is at 2 at the clock position on the steering wheel and all that stuff.
Correct.
Okay, so now we were talking a little bit about muscle memory and skills and all that. So Zairul, how did you, once you graduated with your degree, right? What was your first job? What's your career been like before you ended up co-founding Accordia with your friend, our mutual friend Jega?
Yes. Interesting, because when I came back, my ambition or my direction was to work at Tamunjung Rambutan.
Wow. I think you're the only one I know who is so excited and happily saying my ambition was to work at that hospital Bhagyar at Tanjung Rambutan, very infamous
Yeah.
for people running away and all that stuff.
Yes, but unfortunately, I didn't get the job.
Fortunately or unfortunately, yet to be seen.
Yeah, there could have been many different pathways, but I believe there are many pathways of choice, but
Yes.
sometimes whichever pathway that we take, ultimately it will also come back to it will align it will align to what you are meant to do But it's interesting because when I came back, of course, I wanted to work in my field, psychology,
Yes.
and I started calling psychologists. I'm not sure if you've heard of Dr. Paul Jamunathan.
Oh, yes, I
He,
do. Yeah,
he's a
up
very
until
famous
about
psychologist.
3 years ago, I
Yeah.
think Wednesday or Thursday, there was a regular session on Light and Easy. And I'm a fan of Light and Easy because I like easy listening and instrumental music. I don't like the loud, noisy stuff.
So actually, he was one of the person that I managed to get his number. I called him and asked him. I think he was in the university at one of the colleges at that time.
I think
So
he may have been at Monash at the time, right? And then now in
I,
recent years, I
yes,
think he's at IMU.
yes, I believe it was Monash many years ago. So he said, "Hey, why don't you come over?" So we just chit chat, and he's honest with me. He said, "We don't have any opening,
Okay.
but I just wanted to give you some advice and where to find." And so I called from like an ex-military psychologist. I called all sorts of psychologists, and I got their number
Were
from another
these
one.
people within your own networks or people
No,
people
these are
who
all cold calls.
were referrals or that were
No,
suggested by friends, relatives,
none.
acquaintances? So you
All
actually
cold calls.
Googled it or you looked in the yellow pages or what?
Yeah, at that time it was Yellow Pages.
Yeah, I know Zairul. You and I are the same generation.
Yeah.
When I came back
So.
from Hawaii, I went through the yellow pages. I looked for the list of public relation firms and hotels because my degree is a Bachelor of Arts in Communications, major
Okay.
or specialization is in public relations, and the minor or subspecialization is in human resource. And Zairul, that's not my first choice. Huh? I actually
Okay.
wanted to do hotel catering and management, but my family
Ah.
had some really strange ideas about me, a girl, wanting to work in the hospitality industry. So they
Right. Right.
discouraged me because of that very strange ideas they had about what kind of scenarios and situations I was dealing with. And one of my relatives actually after Form 5 went into working in a hotel, but he did not do any training in that area. So they used that to justify their argument that perhaps this is not a good idea. So then I had to go back to the drawing board. Okay, what is this area I can study that's versatile enough that I can work in most industries? And at the time, communications in Malaysia is known as mass communications. In the US is known as communications. This was one of those things that was quite popular. And at the time when I was looking at tertiary education, I told you I survived Malaysian education system, which is based on a British education system. So I said, no way, no how. I am not going to do tertiary education in a British system. I have been there, done that, enough of it. So I did my research, and thankfully at the time, American degree program was starting to become quite popular. And there's a very
Okay.
interesting story about how I ended up choosing my university. I chose the university and then I found out which are the colleges locally that have a tie-up with Hawaii Pacific University. I think some people
Oh.
is the other way. They look at the college first and then they see which twinning or partnership is with which overseas university.
Yeah.
So before I knew about the concept about law of attraction and positive thinking and all that, Zairul, the universe actually gave me something that I didn't wish for at the time, but in hindsight now, it was a blessing in disguise because it laid the
Oh, yes.
foundation to what I've gone on to do.
Okay. Oh, nice. I'm glad. See, the pathway kind of brought itself towards where it's supposed to go.
Yes.
Good. Let's
So
see, I
going back
lost
to
my.
it, you said you call up this military psychologist, Dr. Paul Jambunadan. You were
Yes,
using the
correct.
yellow
So,
pages and all that. Yes.
yes. So after many calls and many psychologists, I got one psychologist by the name of Dr. Shikawi.
Ah,
So
the
Dr.
gentleman
Shikawi, and
who,
coincidentally, he lives in Dubai.
yes, the gentleman who became your mentor, right?
Yes, correct. So he lived nearby where we were staying, and he said, "Why don't you drop by?"
Uh-huh.
And so we chit chat, and we talked about our plans and whatnot. And he talked about what he does, which I did not have a visual. I couldn't visualize what he was saying. And then he said, "You know what? I'm gonna have a session next week. Why don't you follow me?" And he was straightforward with me. He said, I work alone. I don't employ anybody. But if you want to assist me,
Okay.
and if you want to learn and see what I do, you can join me. So I said, yes, I'll be so honored. So I actually followed him. And the first session, he was training a group of managers from Petronas. And it was a 2-day program. And I was there and I was watching him in action. And I'm just talking to myself and going, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to make use of my psychology and sociology degree. So
coincidentally, the light bulb moment went off for you while you were
oh yeah,
watching him in action.
yes, I was watching him, and I not only was I watching him, I was also watching the participants. And the participants were like, for them, they are different individuals will have the light bulb moment at a different time. So you're seeing the ding, ding, ding,
Yeah,
and
light
oh my
bulb, or
God.
now what some people call the eureka or aha moment.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So when they see that, or when I saw that, I'm just talking to myself, oh, this is great. This is how I'm gonna pursue with this. So from that, I also followed him with another 2 sessions
Okay.
with different company. And then after that, I got a job. So I called him and I told him I won't be able to join him anymore because I got a job. And he did pay me actually for my efforts. And although he said he will not take anybody in.
Okay.
So my first real job was with Smart Reader. And I was a
early
trainer
childhood
writer.
education field.
Yes, so I was a trainer and writer. So I trained the teachers who bought the franchise. Yes, so and things moved quite fast. I was there for 3 months, and I had an offer to work for an NGO.
Oh.
So if you have heard of Pink Triangle, this is Pink Triangle is affiliated with the Malaysian AIDS Council. So they work
Yes,
with.
they provide support to those who what's the word? Correct me if I'm wrong. Those who are HIV positive or those who have AIDS or something like that.
Yes, so Malaysian AIDS Council, they do a lot of programs for people who are living with AIDS.
Yes.
The Pink Triangle is an affiliate NGO where they reach out to 6 different communities. And 6 different communities are, if you're ready, gay men, gay women, sex workers,
yes,
transsexuals, people who are living with AIDS, and also drug users. So 6 hard to reach community.
Okay.
So I was that's why I say it was an opportunity for me. So I was a manager for the gay men of Malaysia. And it was very exciting.
That would have been it's like a little bit like what Alice in Wonderland going down the rabbit hole experience for you, right?
It was interesting. I have to do this all the time. So that title is called MSM.
Yes, I
MSM,
think I vaguely heard about it. Please explain what it is.
men who sleep with men.
Oh, that's what MSM is. Okay.
Yes. So I made history. I was the first straight manager who was managing the gay guys. But a lot of them are they're very normal. They're just like any other guy. It's just their sexual preference.
But just out of curiosity, did they not approach you thinking that perhaps you're gay as well?
Oh, I get a lot of approaches, even if they know I'm not, especially where they know I am straight. Yeah, but it's all I would say friendly gestures. Nothing aggressive.
Okay.
But that's what I did when I was there. We created programs to ensure that this is a safe space for them. So we have a drop-in center, we have a counseling phone line, and we have like what we call events that we run for them as well.
Okay.
So it was very interesting. So I was there for 9 months.
Yeah, you just answered the next question I was going to ask. 9 months. Okay.
I keep on reading your mind.
Oh wow, we shall see. We shall see. Or is it just somehow we're on the same wavelength?
Yeah. So I was there for 9 months, mainly because we discovered that they were running out of funds because in NGO they're non-profit making and they rely a lot on sponsorship. So we all of us was basically forced to look for another job. So they closed down for a while, but now they're back up again. They're up and running again now.
Okay.
I still keep in touch with one or two of them. They're still running well. And so because we were forced to look for another job, I got a job with a government agency. So this is where I go into sports. So I was there under sports psychology under Institute Sukan Negara. And I was there as a mental trainer and what they call a program coordinator there. So that was a good 2 years of my life. I was doing training for the athletes. So there was when I was exposed to hypnosis.
Okay.
And I got my certification once I'm out from there. Once we started Accordia, so that's why I got my certification in hypnosis. So in Institute Sukan, 2 years of mental training with our elite athletes. So that was very good experience. And then from there, I went to 2 other training companies before I started my own with Jega. Yes.
So the training you were doing was in what area, Zairul? Before you started Accordia with Jega?
Do you mean in ISN or in
the 2 training companies after the Institute Sukan Negara?
The 2 training, well, I would say only one. The first training company, I was there for 2 weeks only. Unfortunately, because they didn't know what to do with me for the first 2 weeks.
Oh dear.
I was bored out of my mind.
So and you didn't have any suggestions for them about what you could help them with?
I did so much that I could, but they were too busy to entertain me.
No.
Their best response was, okay, Zairul, why don't you read this? Okay. Oh my God. So every day I look forward to the end of the day meeting. That was the only exciting thing that I had the whole day. Yeah. So luckily for me, I got another job with another training company. And that company, that's where we learn how to work with clients, and we did. My specialty was a lot in team building. And so that's where it started. So that skill from that company evolved here as well in Accordia.
How did you end up meeting Jega, Zairul?
Jega was my colleague. Yes, with the same training company.
Oh, the
And
one, the one where you were with before both of you ended up meeting and then setting up Accordia.
correct, yes. We were, I would say we came in with that company about the same time.
Okay.
And yes, we left at the same time. And then that's
Okay.
where we started to,
How long were you with that company? Both of you were with that training company?
About 4 years.
Okay.
We were there for about 4 years, and we thought that it is really time for us to explore. Yeah, it's a good thing we did. And Accordia now is 15 years old.
Yes, yeah, that was just about a little over a month ago was the 15-year anniversary, right?
In January.
In January, but interestingly, because Jega and I know each other through a mutual friend, and so we are also LinkedIn friends. And LinkedIn sort of in the month of March alerted me that it was Accordia's 15th
I
anniversary.
see. Okay.
That's why I said about a month ago. But yes, as you said, it's January. Maybe the information that was keyed into the profile or whatever indicated the month of March for some reason. So as I was going through Jaga's profile and reading LinkedIn profile and all that, I recall, I told you I've got photographic memory, right? So my mind works in some mysterious ways. I didn't go for NLP training or any study skills or whatever. I just realized that I had the skill and I decided to use it to my advantage. So you and I are talking today because Jega was suggesting when I interviewed him that, perhaps I would like to talk to you because you are coming from a slightly different background, and he felt that we would have a very engaging and dynamic conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also the dynamic that we have in the office, because he is mechanical engineering and mine is psychology and sociology. Even
so he's coming from the science side and you come from the sort of liberal arts lah.
Yeah, yes, correct. And maybe the benefit where you are in the middle of interviewing me and you've interviewed him, you can also see how we are behaving, how our structure and unstructured we are. So we're like kind of the opposite individuals.
That's good, isn't it? Opposites attract and make life interesting. So there's always some surprises, and I suppose because you know each other well, there's also a certain comfortability.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, the benefit is we got to know each other 4 years prior to starting the company. So we both understand each other's strengths and each other's weaknesses. And with the opposite, with the hope also that we complement each other's weaknesses as well. Yes.
So what I know, Jega does the team effectiveness. He does the simulation and all those interactive style of training. For you, it is, I think you said you're using more of the a little bit of your hypnosis training, right? Incorporated in some of the training sessions that you conduct?
It depends on what the situation is, but most team building, it will be the same because we both design games and simulation.
Okay.
For the sake of team building or even some of the leadership type program, we also use our simulation. Hypnosis are used mostly on one-to-one basis.
Okay.
As everybody's cases are different.
Yes.
But if it's in a large setting, the best you could do is more on, like clarity or relaxation, something that is general for everybody to use.
Somewhat like meditation, right?
Yes, correct. And hypnosis is also kind of perceived as a taboo.
Okay.
Mainly because people don't understand it. They think that is like black magic.
Or maybe some people have used hypnosis in the wrong way. So that's why some people are quite concerned and worried about it.
Correct. Yes. Or they just had a bad experience with hypnosis altogether. Yeah. So with all my participants or with my subjects or whoever experienced any form of hypnosis with me, the first thing I tell them that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So I cannot give you an instruction that you feel that's morally wrong for you to do, right? So if I tell you to give me your wallet, you will still have, you will still have the power to say no. Why would I want to give you my wallet?
So the
You still
rational
have the
thought
power
is
to
still
decide.
there, even under hypnosis.
Yes. Yeah. So and a perfect example is some days where if you're driving, for example, some days you don't really remember your journey, but
Yes.
then you're suddenly home.
Yes.
So that is self-hypnosis. Your body is still responding to the traffic condition, but your mind is just thinking about something else. So that is self-hypnosis. So it's the same thing. If
Okay.
you're going through a hypnosis session with me, I
Uh-huh.
am merely a guide. I'm just guiding you.
Yes.
I'm not like putting spells.
You're not brainwashing or using your powers of suggestion during that time to influence your
Yeah.
client, or
But it's still suggestion because it is suggestion based on what you want. Say, for
the
example,
goal,
something
right?
very simple. Correct. If your goal to see me is to lose weight,
Yes.
then my suggestion is about action for you to take for you to meet your target. What kind of weight
Okay.
you're trying to lose? Yeah. So that suggestion is very much based on what you tell me.
Yeah. Some people use, I understand hypnosis can be used also to deal with addictions, right?
Oh yes, definitely. And not just heavy addiction. It could be simple addiction. Like even Coca-Cola
Uh-huh.
is an addiction. I had that
Okay. So that's
addiction.
considered a simple addiction. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. For some people, it's not just about smoking.
Yes.
Some people they want to stop smoking. Some people want to stop chewing gum.
Then some
So
people need help with the alcohol.
yes, but the key behind hypnosis, whoever comes to see me,
Uh-huh.
I have to ensure that if they come, they must come by themselves. That means it is their own choice. It is not forced by anybody else. They're not forced by a mother or father force them to stop smoking, or a wife to stop smoking or stop eating so much, etc., etc. So they
Okay.
must come at their own account.
Yes.
It must be voluntary. If not, they're
Otherwise,
just
it's
wasting.
not going to be very effective, right?
Not at all. I can tell them straight away they're just going to waste their money. They're just going to waste time. Yeah. So and it's not going to work. So they must come at their own account.
Okay.
Only then.
Okay. Yes, I understand. So these last 2 years, coming to almost 2 months, because we are already into slightly past the second half of the month of April,
Mhm.
has been an extremely trying and challenging time for everyone, especially with the where because the pandemic hit us unexpectedly, and everyone has their various challenges and struggles and all that, and what are some of the things that I know you are in a training company, but I wonder, privately on the side, do you actually see clients uh, to help them with whatever various challenges and issues they have, aside from um, the work you do in training and Accordia, Zairul?
Um, I would say if the case is something that is outside of my jurisdiction, because
Uh-huh.
I am not a certified counselor, I would actually, I received maybe half a dozen of
Okay.
inquiries. And if it's something that I am unable, I feel that I'm not qualified, I will refer to some of my friends who
Okay.
are qualified. So they actually run a company with psychological services and counseling. Yeah, so I think that will be a responsibility. Although I studied it, but
Uh-huh.
I did not pursue to get certified. So
Okay.
I think it would be only fair for me to refer them to somebody who's more qualified to do so.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so most of your time and energy is spent on the training and together with Jega developing Accordia to meet the needs of the current clients and potential clients, correct?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Okay.
But it does have a strong link to mental health. A lot of the programs that we run are because they have been away from the office. For some of them, they live alone, so
Okay.
it's a little bit harder for them. They don't have anybody to speak to
Mm-hmm.
unless it's virtual or on the phone.
Yes.
So it's a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult for them. So we created some programs, even though it's still virtual, according
Yes.
to company policy, but we still run games, and we even created virtual games to ensure that there's a lot of interaction, there's a lot of decisions, there's a lot of avenue for them to discuss. So we went in from into that angle rather than a direct individual approach. So it's more on
Okay.
team health than individual health.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I believe Jega talked about, and it's also on your website, is after the training is done, um, your both of you or your team decides to do like a follow up, right?
Mhm. Oh, yes, yes. I think this is one of the biggest value when you run a session. The follow-up is not so much of a ROI for the client. It is more for the participants
Okay.
because they get to see their own changes. So I think that's one of the biggest value when we do a follow-up session. They
Okay.
themselves can see improvement. When there's no follow-up, you don't know. And they're not sure sometimes, are we doing this right? Or is there something else that we can improve? I mean, we always encourage our clients to have some sort of follow-up. And it's usually about 3 months later, 6 months later. Yeah.
Okay. So Zairul, coming back to the pandemic and mental health, in Malaysia, I think only, shall I say, in the last 3 to 5 years, you can say that there is a bit of a spotlight and an emphasis on the issues that are related to mental health. Because as you were saying just now, it's still a little bit of a taboo topic, but you can say that this pandemic has sort of brought the focus that mental
Mhm.
health is something that is equally important as emotional and physical health. Yes, this pandemic is about a virus, so that
Yeah.
impacts physical health. Okay, but emotional and mental health are equally important, and more attention and more emphasis needs to be put onto mental health, right? Because the one of the not so good things about this pandemic is it has very drastically impacted most people's mental health because of the various
Mhm.
limitations and measures, of course, for the sake of ensuring that we minimize our exposure to the virus, and we try our best to deal with a very challenging situation in an organized and as planned manner as possible, so that everyone is kept as safe and secure as we can.
Yeah. I think that is an important um, observation because it is true, and it has two. I find that the pandemic it has two directions. It's either it breaks you or it makes you stronger.
As
Um,
the saying says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
yeah, exactly. Um, but it always goes on which direction you want it to be. And with the element of mental stress, it is just like those who were in need. They are already at that stage where they're not shy or embarrassed to ask for help anymore. I think if it's a plus, the pandemic had developed, given people the opportunity to develop this skill where they're not shy to ask for help. With the effort of the white flag, of course, there's people taking advantage of it. There are shops and institutions and all sorts of places taking initiative to set up all these things where you can donate, and those who need help, you can just take it. It also is the same with mental health. A lot of people that I personally know, they're not embarrassed to ask for help. And they say, I really need to talk to somebody. I just don't know what to do. I tried this. I even tried watching YouTube for ideas, and it's not the same. So if they don't know what to do, they don't have the proper guidance, then it may be dangerous for them.
Yes.
The important thing, I think, is just for them to take the first step.
Yes, because
If you could
actually,
say,
not to interrupt you, but the thought that comes to me is when you say that is actually you are showing how strong you are by asking for help. There's nothing
yes,
wrong in asking for help. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, but when we work with others, even if you're the most independent, self-sufficient person, there is a limit to how much we can do by ourselves. I know this because 4 years, 3 months ago, when I embarked on this very daunting, adventurous journey of doing freelance work, I had to figure it out, Zairul, and it's not a bad thing to figure it out. But you can say I'm thankful that because I was already online, I was very visible. I was already using social media 4 years, 3 months ago. When the pandemic hit, I was ahead of the curve. So the pandemic didn't really affect me so much because I was already having a very strong, credible, visible presence on social media. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And I later, so I just basically use my knowledge, skills, talents, experience, and expertise. And then along the way, I'm a very much a people person. So if it's something that I don't know, I'm proactive, right? And I like to learn new things. So I will actively seek out things that are not necessarily related to my area of experience or interest. Because in my mind, you don't know when that skill or knowledge will come in handy. And when this pandemic hit, one of the good things is I decided to go full steam into upskilling, because suddenly things that weren't available were freely available. Courses, workshops, master classes, most of it. And then also the government came up with various training programs
yeah,
for those who were unemployed, or those who were retrenched, or those who were like fresh graduates and all that. And I decided to go full steam ahead into upskilling. So this is where I decided, okay, I will learn more about entrepreneurship from the experts, those who are more knowledgeable and experienced. And this is where also I learned, or shall I say, it solidified the thing that asking for help is very important, because once you identify that there is a problem, only then can you find solutions and ways to address it. But if you don't know there's a problem, then that is a significant issue, isn't it, Zairul?
yes, definitely. I think the value is where you already realize that something is not right. And sometimes you, just like what your friends are doing, they see that something's not right and they point it out. Sometimes individuals can't tell. They don't really realize that they're behaving differently, or they don't realize that they have a sad face. They think everything is just normal until somebody has to point it out. So to have that realization at first is the key, because if not, then it becomes very dangerous for individual and also for the rest of the family. Okay, actually, Chrishanne, I would like to point out it's almost 7 o'clock.
Yes,
I need to
understand.
bring
Yeah,
my pass
we
later. Yeah.
we can wrap this up. Before we wrap this up, do you have any suggestions or tips or resources that you want to share with our viewers or listeners who are looking for maybe advice or someone who they can talk to? Because as you were saying, and I also agree, some people they are feeling very stuck, or they are
Mm.
feeling very numb, or they are very feeling disoriented or out of sorts. Who are some of the people, or which organizations can they reach out to talk to, or to get help or advice?
Oh, okay. Um, there are actually quite a lot today. Typically, people have heard of Befrienders. This is a phone line that you can contact with. When even Pink Triangle is also another avenue for you to talk to. And actually now there are many mini services, I would say, like mental health services that can assist.
Okay.
You can also reach out to your friends. There's also pro and con. I would say if you're reaching out to your friends, you have to be a little bit selective,
Yes.
because friends, you sometimes we realize or sometimes we do not realize there are friends who can support no matter what you say,
Yes.
even if the situation is negative. You also may also have another group of friends that seemingly support. I mean, I think the intention is to support, but
Yes.
what the outcome is tends to be a little bit negative sometimes. Okay,
Yeah,
so we
I
have to
suppose
be a
it
little bit
depends
selective.
on your frequency in telling them about what is going on with you, and perhaps what's
Mm,
going on with them personally. Sometimes initially they were very supportive and willing to listen and all that, hold a safe
mm,
space for you. But after a while, I suppose it could be a bit overwhelming for them, because they are struggling to understand the challenge or the
mm.
difficulty that the person who's reaching out to them is facing.
Right. Well, we can't blame them because they are not
They're not
trained
trained
to people.
professionals.
Yeah,
Yes.
correct. They're just a friend. But even
Yes.
so, even if their intention is good, I mean, they're like, oh, sure, you can tell me, but sometimes the angle of how they want to approach it may not be as positive. Sometimes you see, if I can give you an example for a coach. A
Yes.
coach is somebody who does not give you advice. A coach is somebody who listens and ask specific questions so that you can find your own solution.
Okay.
So if you're a friend, you may not be a coach. So an advice that you give may be useful for you,
Mm-hmm.
but may not be a suitable direction for your friend.
The recipient.
So,
Yes.
correct. So it might create more danger than
Yeah, it can
solution.
affect
So,
the friendship or the relationship with the person that you are reaching out to. But I suppose that's life, Zairul. Sometimes
yes,
it's a hit and miss. And one of the things I realized with this pandemic, Zairul, is no offense, but I realize who my true friends are. I'm not saying and it's actually the people I've known a year or two before the pandemic and during the pandemic are actually my true friends. I'm not sure
okay.
why. I'm sure the universe has a plan or something.
Yeah.
I'm a person who likes to think things through, plan it out, and I like to be somewhat in control. But many years ago, I realized change is inevitable. So you can only
Yes.
plan and control things, but you have to leave room for being flexible, spontaneous, and adapting. And with this pandemic, I learned a new word, pivot. Otherwise, before this, I
Mm,
only know Microsoft Excel pivot table, but I learned there is a pivot as in changing strategy, changing approach, adapting to how things change.
mm.
It's yes, we will be wrapping this up, Zairo. We've got lots more to talk about, but perhaps we'll do that
Yeah.
another time.
Okay.
Perhaps what we can do, since we need to wrap this up, is I will be providing my contact details and your contact details, and maybe Zairo, you could provide us some of some of the organizations, how to reach out to them, their contact details, and then I will include that when I upload the video onto the YouTube channel, and then the podcast, the episode, the audio onto the the audio onto the podcast, so that anyone who wants to reach out to you or to me or to any of those organizations to seek help, they have the resource available.
Yeah, sure. I can share that with you. Not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Zairul. An hour has gone by very fast, and that happens
Yes.
when you're having fun and you're having a very engaging and insightful and exciting conversation. I appreciate very much your enthusiasm when I extended the offer to you to be my guest, and I'm glad that we talked about a very important topic that not many people have been talking about, which is mental health. And we also talked a little bit about what hypnosis is, because I don't think many people know what hypnosis is about and how it can be beneficial. Okay.
Yes.
So I enjoy the rest of your evening, and happy breaking fast. And
Oh,
we'll
thank you
catch
so
up
much.
another time. Do enjoy your weekend. And any last words, Zairul?
Yeah, actually, if for those who are feeling a little bit down, I would say that, um, just like what we mentioned just now, if it doesn't kill you, it only makes you stronger. So rephrase or give whatever you're experiencing a different definition, and you will find your way. So be more resourceful, and I'm sure it can assist you. All the
Yes,
best.
and also don't hesitate to ask for help, because there are lots of people
Yes.
who want to help, but I myself, and I'm sure yourself, Zairul, we want to help, but we don't want to impose on others. We are more than willing to help people when they reach out to us. So I'm
Correct.
encouraging our viewers and listeners who are listening to this interview, please feel free to reach out to me or to Zairul or any of the people who are in the list of resources which we include together with this interview. And we wish you all the best. We still have another 8 months to go of 2022. We have
Yes.
transitioned into the endemic phase, but it's still going to be challenging, and we still need to take precautionary measures for a while so that we can together work to making things safer and as comfortable as possible for everyone. And I wish you, Zairul, and wish everyone, our viewers and listeners, all the best for the rest of 2022. And we'll be more than happy to respond to any inquiries or any requests for help and all that. So thank you, Zairul, and you enjoy your evening and you take care.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.